He's shaking hands with Joe Louis now. And you observe that he shakes hands very tenderly because Mr. Braddock is reported to have rather fragile weapons just now, which has made him postpone a heavyweight contest until next year. Now, George, while a few minutes remain.
All right, John. Ettore, although the same age as Joe Louis, 22, has had several years' experience on the bomber. Ettore has been fighting 8 years, 6 years as a pro and 2 years as an amateur. Louis has been in the ring 6 years, but 3 of those years only were as a pro.
Champion James Braddock has a word to say to the radio audience. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Hello, everybody. It sure is a great night here tonight. It's going to be a great fight. I wish you all here to see it.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Continue, George.
All right, John, and to go on, I was saying that Ettore boxed 2 years as an amateur in Philly, and then in 1930 he turned professional. He's had 72 bouts, while Louis has had 29 professional strats. Ettore's greatest fame has come, as most of you followers know, from his 3 decisions over the brilliant Negro Leroy Haynes. And now we await the outcome and the first round of Louis and Ettore.
Mr. Clem McCarthy, who has tuned up his tonsils for the effort tonight, is all ready to go as the fighters are. Clem, the air is yours.
Thank you, John. And the fight will begin in just a few moments, I am sure. He's still making announcements here from the center of the ring, now giving the weight of the fighters. Ettore, 189 and a quarter. Joe Louis, 203. And Louis is sitting very quietly in his corner. Ettore, a blond, rugged-looking fellow, is sitting, waiting here in his corner. Luke Tendler close by. Jack Blackburn, the master of Joe Louis, stands over him, leaning on the ropes. Behind Joe Louis is Johnny Roxborough. No change of expression in Joe Louis's face. Incidentally, the judges are being announced as Al Boyce and Eddie Lochran. Eddie happens to be a brother of the famous Tommy Lochran of Philadelphia. The referee is Jack McGuigan, Jr., a son of a former well-known fighter in Philadelphia, Jack McGuigan. They call him Old Jack, and this fellow, Jack Jr. He has now called the fighters to the ring. I don't believe that this public address system will carry this strong enough for you to hear the words of the referee with the crowd cheering and getting upon their toes, ready for the fight. Nearly all of the handlers, with the exception of Jack Blackburn, and Julian Black of the Louis camp and Luke Tendler of Ettore's camp, have left the ring. John Roxborough stands on the side over there waiting patiently. We are in a neutral corner. There, they've been sent back to their corners. Blackburn is adjusting Louis's mouthpiece, giving him a final pat, saying, "Do this and do that, chappie." They've stepped out of the ring, and now you may get on your toes upon the edges of your seats. We're just about ready to go. And the very last moment, from Tendler's corner over here, and Tendler the manager, they're on their way out of the corner. And they come out, Ettore coming fast. And he rushed into Louis, and he is punching with all he's got. Louis merely trying to tie him up and pushing him against the ropes. McGuigan pulled them apart, and once again Ettore stepped in and missed with a wide left swing. And then he ran straight into a hard right uppercut at close quarters. Louis is taking his time with him and letting him rush in around Louis's jaw and followed it with a left hook to the body. But I doubt if they carried much punch. And Louis got in a right smash to the stomach. And there, Ettore got over another left hook to the side. But Louis keeps bearing in, and there Louis met him with a straight left and straight right, a right to the body. There, a hard right to the head. And once more they clinch over in Louis's corner. Louis jabbed with a left, but Ettore rushed by that left. And he got Louis with a hard left to the jaw. And Louis is coming in on him now, looking very confident. And there, it was a left uppercut to Ettore's jaw, but it only stopped him momentarily. But he is down from a hard right smash to the jaw. The count is 3, and Ettore is up. He did not wait for that count. He rushed in again, and Louis is all ready to finish fast if he can. Louis missed with a left swing, and he's ready to right hand his cut. They're in my corner. There's hard rights and left from Louis to Ettore's head. Ettore pushed his way out and ran straight into a hard smash against the ropes. He's got Louis over against the ropes, but Louis wiggled out. The referee broke them. Ettore missed with a light left to the face, and Louis tied him up once more in the center of the ring. They exchanged rights and lefts. to the face that didn't amount to a great deal there. The referee broke them, and now Lewis is forcing Ettore over to his corner. He is bruised. Ettore's eye just above the brow, and there he jabbed him with one of those typical straight Lewis lefts. 5 lefts in succession, and there Lewis tried with a left hook, and it missed. But he connected with one, and Ettore, in letting go a straight left and then a hard right, slipped and went to the floor. But Lewis stepped back and gave him time to get up. The referee helped him to his feet there in the center of the ring. The rushing is out of Ettore for the moment, and Lewis is now forcing the fighting, pushing Ettore back around the ring. He's got him in that neutral corner over there, and he's ready to stab him with a left and then to follow with a right. But there he missed with the left, and Ettore tore in and got a good hard right to the eye, and then he got another slashing left hand across the face. Just missed him a little further back and might have done some damage. Over in there, in the other corner from us, the other neutral corner, they're in a tangle once again. Lewis is taking his time, apparently very confident. And Ettore is not rushing anymore. He's willing and trying, but he's now crouching and tries to come up in there with first a right and then a left. He hasn't landed any real solid punches on Lewis in the last few instants, and there Lewis landed a good left hook to Ettore's stomach just as the referee broke them. In the center of the ring once more, Lewis is crowding Ettore back towards the by corner, and Ettore let go with a hard left swing that caught Lewis flush on the jaw, but did no damage. Lewis in the center of the ring is forcing against Ettore, and there Ettore exchanged with him, rights and lefts, vigorously and hard, and Lewis shot hard rights and lefts to the body. John Kennedy, you're on the air.
Okay, Clem McCarthy, that was a very long 3 minutes for Mr. Ettore, who felt one bomb from the brown bomber, which dropped him in the first minute of the round. Lewis is fighting a cool, heady game. Seemed to me to take one stinger from Ettore, but then he was master of the situation, as Mr. McCarthy told you. You may have heard hoarse voices in the background. Those are Ettore's handlers who became very frantic. McCarthy, you have it.
None of them are magic voices, John. Now we will see a little magic fighting, perhaps, right here in the ring. They're coming up already. Just about 3 seconds more, and the bell will ring. Blackburn is instructing Lewis carefully. And Lewis comes out cautiously with the left hand out. And Ettore backed away towards me. Lewis is crowding him towards me. Lewis let out with an easy left, but it did no damage at all. Just tapped him in the face. There, Lewis, another light tap by Lewis. And Ettore got in there left and right. And there he got in a good left to Lewis's stomach and a right to the jaw that didn't carry much power behind it. And Lewis tied him up, and the referee broke them. Back in the center of the ring, Lewis is backing Ettore toward the other neutral corner, and Ettore backing away is watching his chance. He leads in there. No, Lewis with the left hand there. Ettore left with a left swing that missed by a quarter of an inch. And Lewis was just the outside of it, and then Lewis let him have a left to the face. Another left, but they're very light. They're not those old-time lefts, those jabs that hurt so badly, but they may come any minute. The right hand was cocked then, but it didn't go. Both blows landed, and there was a good left to the jaw by Ettore, and another left to the neck. And Lewis gave ground and boxed against the ropes. They're tied in a clinch, and the referee is breaking them over in that corner. They're coming back to the center of the ring. Ettore has got his back to me. Lewis is crowding him, and then Ettore rushes in with a left that does no damage. Lewis tries with a left, just a light left. Lewis is crowding him to the other corner, and there Lewis lets go the 1-2. The right and the left. He's giving it again. Lewis is giving first right and then left. Hard right and left to the body. A right to the body that connected hard. But Ettore is fighting back gently and trying to clinch, but he's up against size. And Ettore in against the ropes again. Got in a left, and there he tried with a right uppercut to Lewis that missed. Lewis crowded him to the ropes, his head down against Ettore's chest. Now they're in the center of the ring. The referee broke them. Lewis used him quite harshly there in that exchange against the ropes with hard left. And there, if Lewis had landed that right, it would have done some damage. A straight right to the jaw. Ettore rushed the inside of another right and clinched with Lewis in the center of the ring. And there, at close range, he landed a slight left on Lewis's jaw. Now in the center of the ring, Ettore once more is backing away slightly. Lewis following, and Lewis keeps lunging out with little left and then a hard right. That right connected, a right to the jaw. But Ettore was riding the punch and got away, and Ettore came right back in with a hard left to Lewis's jaw, and at close quarters he got in a right uppercut, and just at the bell, Lewis brought over a hard right overhand that landed on the back of Ettore's neck just as the bell rang. John Kennedy again.
Okay, Clem. Mr. Ettore took enough punishment in that round to finish Primo Carnera, the best pocket Venetian, when he had his fight with our friend Mr. Lewis, because he's taken some of the best things that Mr. Lewis has to give. In fact, Ringsiders here seem to have been disappointed that the kill didn't take place in the second round.
stopped it halfway in, and Ettore rushed in with a hard left hook that landed on Lewis's jaw, and a good right to Lewis's stomach. Lewis came back with a hard right to Ettore's head, but he took it and stepped into a clinch. They're punching there in a clinch over against the ropes. Ettore leaning against Lewis. Referee McGuigan broke them and stepped back. Lewis is in the center of the ring. He led with light left and barely crouched, but no exchange. And Ettore then let go with a left that carried nothing. And now Lewis is crowding Ettore back to this side of the ring. And Ettore crouching, then standing up straight. And he let go with a hard right that landed on Lewis's ear. And Lewis stepped into a clinch. Right into a clinch, and Ettore is getting much encouragement from the hometown groupers here. They're strong for him, and he's putting up a very game fight here. A good, courageous fight, and taking everything that Lewis gives and giving back plenty of his own. They're in a clinch again in the center of the ring, and light exchange of rights and lefts. The referee broke them, and Ettore went in with a left to Lewis's body, and then got over that right to Lewis's head. Lewis got in a right to Ettore's head, and another right to his head, and Ettore stepped into a clinch. There was an exchange that Ettore seemed to have the best of, and Ettore threw the hard left to Lewis's face. That expression on Lewis's face is something like the one we saw the night with Snelling. It is not the confident Lewis. Lewis then led with a light left, and Lewis tried with a hard right. There's plenty of punch in that, plenty of power behind that right, but it is missing. And there Lewis missed with a straight left. Now Lewis led with a light left and missed with a right. And then Ettore tied him up in a clinch. There at close quarters, each man got in light right uppercut. No damage. And there Lewis threw over a hard right to Ettore's head. So far, Ettore has shown ability to take those rights. Lewis's left is not working in its usual piston-like fashion. It's missing time and again. The right is doing more damage. Ettore has got the ducking under his right. Then ties him up in a clinch. And there at close quarters, almost in a clinch, he let Lewis have one hard on the side of the head. The referee broke them. Lewis was trying to keep him at a distance. And Ettore fainted, then stepped back. And Lewis got in a straight left to Ettore's face that carried nothing at all, while Ettore exchanged the right to Lewis's head. And there, Ettore tied Lewis up in a clinch and got in a couple of light punches to Lewis's body. So far, the fight is far from being one-sided, as a great many expected. Far from it. Don't you think so, John Kennedy?
I'm quite sure of it. I don't know whether the crucial moment of the fight occurred in this round, but there was one moment when Lewis struck like a brown cobra. Ettore's head chopped back fully 3 feet, yet he came back for more. There is the test of courage. And that's my reply to a large gentleman with several tummies who's been calling upon Mr. Lewis to disassemble Mr. Ettore in the earliest possible moment. Mr. McCarthy is quite right, too, when he says that this promises to be a wow of a fight if it lasts for 2 more rounds with Mr. Ettore taking those punches.
And here we come up for the 4th round. The whistle, that is the 10-second signal before the bell. Jack Blackburn is standing there beside Lewis and giving him final instructions. There he takes the towel from his shoulders and they step into the ring. Ettore with a great deal of that confidence. That confidence that has plenty of courage behind it. No fear. He's afraid of nothing that Lewis has. He feels that he sampled Lewis's best. And there in a clinch in the center of the ring, they exchange right and left. And Ettore gave as much as Lewis did. And when they broke, neither fighter had anything, and they stepped back into a second clinch. Now Ettore ducked in, crouched low, and got under a left of Lewis's and got in one of his own rights to Lewis's body. Now Lewis is trying again with the left. Got that right hand still cocked, trying to put it over. But Ettore ducks under the left hand and also gets under the right hand when Lewis shoots. Again, Ettore charged in and tied Lewis up in a clinch. And there, as they clinch, he is wrestling with Lewis against the ropes. And the referee has to break them. Lewis backs away toward the corner of the ring. Ettore rushes in on him. And once again, they're tied up in a clinch. There's more clinching in this fight than any fight I ever saw in which Joe Louis participated. Ettore ties him up time and again. And Lewis seems quite willing to be tied up. There, another clinch. And with no offensive of any kind by Lewis. Either he has no offensive or he's waiting. And Ettore ducked in there quick and shot a hard left to Lewis's body, and Lewis gave him a hard right to the jaw in exchange. Now in the center of the ring, Lewis got missed with a hard right, and there he pulled the right. He had it started and took it back because Ettore was coming in on him, and he held that right hand, and they went into a clinch against the rope. Again, McGuigan had to break them. Ettore has plenty of confidence. And there Lewis jabbed him twice with the left hand, once high, and there he got over a hard right to Ettore's jaw that made Ettore rock back against the ropes. But Ettore came in and ran straight into a left uppercut on the jaw. right in right end of the chin, and there was a hard left hook to the jaw just in front of the ear that shook up Ettore good. Lewis is crowding Ettore in his own corner, and he drove a hard left hook to Ettore's body, then a left hook to his face. Ettore missed with right and left. Lewis missed with the right, and then Lewis got in a right left to Ettore's face. Now Lewis is turning loose with right and left. A turning fast. He has cut Ettore's eyes. His left eye is badly cut. Lewis is pursuing him across the ring, first with left and then with right. And one good solid punch by Lewis might finish this fight right here in the fourth round. Lewis is charging him and watching every chance. And there's the right hand that sends Ettore down on his face. The count is 5, 6, 7. He's on a knee. 8, 9. He's up. Upon time, his eye is cut slightly, and Lewis came in with a fast left hook, and then a hard right cross to the head that caught Ettore flush on the cheek. And there Lewis at close quarters is trying to wriggle loose from a clinch and get in right and left. He's rocked. He rocked Ettore then with a left to the jaw and a right to the body. Now he's got him against the rope, and it's just a question of whether he hits him. He's showering right and left. Ettore is fighting gamely, throws back everything he's got as fast as he can. Lewis is driving a hard right there to Ettore's jaw, another right to Ettore's jaw, and Ettore wobbles off the rope at the bell. He's in the center of the ring, unbowed, and ready for more. There you are, John Kennedy, at the end of the fourth round.
Ettore is the hero of this round because Joe pummeled him and threw everything he had at him, but he came up fighting for more by instinct, not by skill. He took one terrific smash on the chin, one of those that make you wear your teeth on the outside. And it spilled him, and I thought he'd never get up, but here he is in his corner, waiting for the gong to sound again. I'm Mr. McCarthy, about to report to you what may be a knockdown or a knockout, or else a comeback as great as any in the history of recent prize fighting. Take it, Slim.
When Lewis turned loose, after about 1/2 minute of that fifth round and really let go, he was the Lewis that we've seen in so many great fights. Ettore's eye has been patched there, and he's already coming out game and ready. Steps right in, but Lewis has that look on him that he's means business to finish it now if he can. This is the fifth round of the Joe Louis-Hal Ettore fight in Philadelphia. And there, early in this fifth round, in the center of the ring, Lewis got in a left hook to the body just above the belt line, and then a hard right to the jaw that bounced Ettore back to my corner. He bounced off the ropes and sparred away from Lewis. Lewis got in a left to the face and missed with a right, and there Lewis laid the heel of his glove against Ettore's jaw, pushed his head back, and was warned by the referee and booed by the crowd. He apologized to the referee, and Ettore went on. Ettore rushed in and landed a left hook to Lewis and missed with a right. Now Lewis is crowding Ettore back to the other side against the ropes, and Lewis landed a light left to the jaw and was slightly off balance himself. Ettore fought back very lustily there and landed a good hard right to Lewis's body and tied Lewis up in a clinch. They're trying to exchange right uppercuts and left hooks without effect. The referee parted them, and each landed with a light left to the face. Now Lewis is crowding Ettore to his own corner, lashing out with that left, and Ettore drove over a hard right that went over Lewis's shoulder. He was just inside of it. Now Lewis has got him against the rope, and there was a left hook under the jaw that started him, and a right sent him to the ground. And the count is 5, 6, 7. He's on his knees. 8, 9, 10, and he couldn't get up and fell over the rope. Ettore went to get up, and he fell between the ropes and landed outside, pushed back by the press boys and grabbed by his trainers. He's a very, very tired, very much used up young man. Lewis is looking fresh here in the corner, and he's all ready. John Kennedy, be ready to take it.
Go ahead, Slim. Hop up there. Mr. McCarthy's getting into the ring. They've taken Lewis's mouthpiece out of his mouth. He's standing there. He's got up quite a sweat on this one because Mr. Ettore was a pretty tough customer who had everything he handed him until this last round when he simply couldn't stand these flailing, lightning-like fists of Lewis. Joe's coming towards the microphone now, which Mr. McCarthy holds for him.
Go ahead, you ready down there, John Kennedy? Joe Lewis, it looks like congratulations are in order once again.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to keep on all my broadcasts.
Well, Joe, you looked at your best when you cut loose in that fifth round.
Right.
Was there any time in the fight that you were wondering just about the outcome?
Well, I don't know.
Tell me the truth now, Joe.
I guess all the fights.
Huh?
I guess all the fighters got you puzzled.
I was a little puzzled, huh? You looked kind of puzzled to me early in the fourth round, but when you cut loose, why, there was quite a change. Johnny Roxborough, see if you can bring Jack Blackburn over here. See if we can get Jack over. He's been on this microphone many a time. He's a little mic shy, but he's better than he thinks he is. Jack, congratulations once again. Your chappie was quite a fighter tonight. Yes, sir.
My boy was a lucky boy tonight, and I'm tickled to death to be back in Philadelphia once more.
What do you mean he was lucky?
Well, that's my old word there when they knock him dead. I say lucky.
You are still content that any fighter who wins or lands a blow is
He's a
lucky?
lucky man.
Well, now there you have Joe Lewis's version. He told you that he's willing to admit that nearly every fighter at some time in a battle is a little bit puzzled, as we thought he looked tonight from down here in the first row.
Attention, please. Knockout, 1 minute, 28 seconds, the 5th round.